Work-related noise-induced hearing loss is an issue that is costing employees quality of life and costing companies in compensation fees, which is about $242 million annually. As you may have expected, work-related noise-induced hearing loss is a loss of hearing as a result of exposure to hazardous noise levels at work, but more specifically is known as a function of continuous or intermittent noise exposure and duration, usually developing over several years. But you may not have known that noise is considered to be a hazard when above 85 decibels, and OSHA regulations state that the time-weighted average for noise must remain below 90 decibels, putting workers at risk for hearing loss on a daily basis. It has been reported nationally that 22 million workers are exposed to hazardous noise at work annually, 34% of which reported that proper hearing protection was not being used. Noise-induced hearing loss continues to be one of the most prevalent occupational conditions and occurs across a wide spectrum of industries. Occupational hearing loss is easily preventable through a hierarchy of controls, but unfortunately, without proper prevention measures, many workers can end up with this irreversible illness that can lead to a diminished quality of life. Based on research in the state of Michigan, there are many industries at risk for noise-induced hearing loss, but construction workers are at highest risk. 40% of construction workers report not using hearing protection, and only 4% reported the use of regular hearing tests. To address this issue, we must hold the construction companies accountable by implementing new policy. In this process, it is important to include the employees, unions, supervisors, and shareholders to ensure that any new regulations are upheld and rights are understood. I recommend that companies set new regulations on exposure levels to fall below the hazardous noise level of 85 decibels, and also to regulate hearing protection devices, including the proper means of access and education to workers. In addition, I recommend that construction companies also implement scheduled hearing screening tests to determine at-risk employees, and begin regular inspection and upkeep of machinery to keep noise levels low. Based on research, if all of these regulatory controls are used in conjunction with one another, we would expect to see a reduction in the number of construction workers affected by work-related noise-induced hearing loss.
Created using Powtoon.